Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be covering the newest patch, the newest balancing patch for Helldivers 2. You're going to see some gameplay along the way, but mostly we are going to be focusing on stuff that we use, stuff that affect us as a duo playing in max difficulty, and see how everything works out for us. First, we actually tested the armor. Here it says that armors with armor rating above 100 now also reduce damage on headshots, and if you're familiar with the game, sometimes hunters or even other bots can almost one-shot you or headshot you when they hit you in the head, so we normally just use light armor. But we wanted to give it a go because if it will save you from a few hits from a bunch of hunters or when you're getting overwhelmed, it's probably worth it. You're going to see gameplay of me specifically using an armor that have 150 armor rating, and I think I should have died a few times.
You were talking about you were like overwhelmed a couple times. Streakers can definitely crit you in the head. The bots probably can too. We play the bots, we don't play them as much, but probably they could be worse, but definitely, like you said, hunters and shriekers, specifically those two, you know, sometimes they can hit you for practically nothing, other times they can take like 75% of your health away. So you said that it felt better, but I just don't think as a duo, I like being able to move. I just don't think the reduced speed makes it worth it. It's a good change. I wouldn't complain about it, especially if you like that kind of armor, but we just generally stick to the light armor.
Yeah, for us as a duo, it's more important sometimes to run out of situations than just stay there and fight all the time. So it's a great change, but it doesn't really affect us. Another thing we tested was the Quasar Cannon. Here it says they increased the recharge time by 5 seconds, so it got nerfed. If you're familiar with the Quasar Cannon, every time you shoot, there's like a cooldown where you have to wait for the weapon to stop overheating before you can use it again. They increased that time. You have to wait to be able to use the weapon again, 5 more seconds. Yeah, for us affect us because if I'm not bringing the ATs, the anti-tanks, to kill like the armor, if I bring the Quasar Cannon and there's like 6 chargers and 3 titans, it gets overwhelming. I'll not be able to shoot faster or shoot like we were shooting before the nerf it. It actually changed the game a lot. Like, I don't even feel like it's worth bringing anymore.
I think the nerf to the cooldown time, I've seen a lot of people have been complaining about it. They're not happy about it. Similar to like the rail cannon or the railgun. I think it sucks, but you got to remember that this is a gun that doesn't take ammo. You can just keep it with you all the time. And I personally think the EATs are better. I have always thought, even when this thing came out, it was really good, but I always thought the EATs were better anyway. I can see where people are definitely not that happy, and on hard difficulty, you know, tier 9, 7, 8, 9, especially 9, sometimes you get those missions where it's just like tons of armor, tons of chargers, tons of Bile titans and whatnot, and if you don't have a full team, you're just getting overwhelmed so much. That extra cooldown, it sucks. It definitely sucks.
Requesting orbital strike.
Firing orbital strike.
The Punisher Plasma got a small nerf, but mostly got buffed. The nerf is that they decreased the maximum max from 12 to 8, so overall less ammo. They buff it by increasing the amount of magazines received from the resupply from 6 to 8. They also increased the projectile speed, but they kept a similar range, and they decreased the damage fall off on the explosion.
Overall, I think this was one of those guns that was a little bit slept on, if you will. You used it quite a bit and you really liked it. I think it's, aside from one really bad thing, it does seem better now that you can get, because before you're only getting your mags back from resupply, now you're getting all of them back. And the decreased damage fall off from explosion, the way that reads at least, is that, from what I understand, is the explosion itself should be better, and there should be less, like, the damage shouldn't be getting less and less as it goes outwards or whatever. So overall, yeah, I think that was a good change to that gun.
Something funny about this Punisher Plasma though, at the time we are making this video, they haven't added any new hotfixes or patches. If you're wearing the shield backpack and you try to use the Punisher Plasma, you will kill yourself. It's acting like the shield backpack is some kind of like wall in front of you, so every time you try to shoot, it's like it ricochets back to you and you explode yourself almost. It works as long as you are not using the shield backpack.
Dropping item.
Dropping item. Helldivers never die!
For testing these laser type weapons, I use all three in a mission. The biggest difference I noticed is that it felt, specifically the Sycthe and the Dagger, they felt stronger. I felt like I was killing enemies easier in Helldive. The last Dagger was a secondary that people pretty much didn't use because it wasn't strong enough, so now I felt like the change they made was worth it if you like these kind of weapons. And for the guard dog, I personally didn't notice any difference, even if it's 30% less damage, because to begin with, the guard dog mostly was just killing small stuff like the scavengers or the small hunters, stuff like that, so I really didn't think it was a big deal reducing 30% of the damage.
The only thing about the guard dog that I noticed, and I didn't really use it, was that I got hit by your guard dog a lot. Like, I got hit by it many times, like usually happens, and it didn't do that much damage. Sometimes that thing could hit you and take like a huge chunk of your health, and it never happened. Every time it hit me, I kept thinking, I looked down and felt like, oh, I'm gonna have to stem. It just took a tiny little bit, so if you think that it's still really good for, you know, just trash cleanup basically, then that nerf was probably good because you're not killing yourself or your teammates as much.
The Railgun got a buff and a nerf. The buff was they increased the armor penetration in both safe mode and unsafe mode, and the nerf, the stagger force, is slightly reduced. The biggest issue we have with the Railgun, we used to use it all the time before they nerfed it the first time they did. In safe mode, it feels pretty bad. In Helldive, it's too trashy, I don't think it's worth it. In unsafe mode, it feels closer to how it was at the beginning. The only problem is that you have to hold it longer and you can blow yourself up. But the biggest issue I have with the Railgun personally, and that's why I'm not using it anymore, is the stagger. There's no stagger. At the beginning, it was easier to stop a charger from charging you by shooting it in the head, or stop a Bile spewer from spewing you by shooting in the head. That doesn't exist anymore. And I had a big issue with that because sometimes I don't even feel like I'm hitting the enemy. There's no feedback aside from a tiny bit of complaint from the back. So I still don't think it's good enough. But yeah, in unsafe mode, if you like the Railgun, it feels a bit closer to what it was.
Basically what you said is how I feel about it. Like, in unsafe mode, the armor penetration is noticeable. It doesn't just like bounce off of a charger now, but it just doesn't. I mean, I was testing it, and you don't see that, but I was testing it and I was shooting him in the leg, and after like 3-4 shots, it still didn't really take his armor off. So you have to use it in unsafe mode, which isn't a problem. Yeah, you can blow it up, and that's not good, but it's like 2 shots basically in unsafe mode. But like you said, the stagger is really bad. I mean, before, if a charger was charging you, you could either stun him, or if you hit him in the face just to stop him, he would keep going straight instead of turning at you. That stagger is really bad. And the funny thing about the Railgun is it was really good in the beginning, okay? It was maybe too good, and then they nerfed it and nobody was using it anymore. And now they did this, but it's kind of in between where it was in the beginning and where it was after the nerf. And there's so many other guns in the game for support stratagem weapons that are like better than it. At this point, if you took it almost back to where it was, it would be in line with like the Quasar before they nerfed it, or even like the EATs being able to shoot chargers and stuff in the face and take them out really easy. It would be more in line with that. If you want to nerf it, in my opinion, just nerf the amount of ammo it has in it. Instead of giving you 20 shots, give it 10. You know, I think that this was, I don't know. The railgun is like a touchy subject still for players, but it just, I don't know. I think it still sucks. I know people are gonna be like, because they said, oh, it was exactly the same before. No, when they nerfed it, it wasn't exactly the same. That you're full of shit. You're just full of shit. It wasn't the same. Now it's closer, but still not quite as good as it was in the beginning.
Last reload.
And they reduce the movement speed for the Bile Spewers and the nursing Spewers. And this is a big deal actually for us at least, because before they were pretty freaking fast. It was really hard to get away from them, and it's an enemy type that when he pukes at you, you're dead. Even with the shield. Sometimes it goes through the shield and kills you in one hit. So be able to run away from them a tiny bit, to throw a grenade, or do something explosive to kill them fast is a huge deal. And for the next thing we are going to talk about, we were surprised that this was changed because the way it works here says fog generators' health and armor is increased. And we were wondering, what are these fog generators? Are you talking about the spore trees? Yeah, they're talking about the spore trees. We were playing and we usually just shoot the tree. Even with the shotgun, you don't need something heavy. You just shoot it, destroy it from far, no big deal. But we were playing after that day and we were shooting, and we couldn't kill it. We couldn't destroy it. And then we came back to the patch notes and realized, oh wait, the fog generators are the ones they are talking about. So before you can just use a regular primary, few grenades to destroy it, it's not the case anymore. We tested it. If you're using the AATs, you need 2 to destroy it. You can throw a bunch of grenades on the tree too. That kinda works. And mostly, you have to just treat it like a striker tree. You have to use heavy artillery or stratagems or heavy weapons to destroy it.
Yeah, when you shoot the spore tree now, there's like a symbol of ricochet, so it's like the same as the shrieker tree. You already said it, but I don't know if it's exactly the same as a shrieker tree, like the way it works, because we took it out with nades, and I've never really thrown that many nades at a shrieker tree, but yeah, 2 EATs, it's way more similar to that, which makes it more annoying, way more annoying.
Another big change is the enemy patrols. Here it says patrol spawning has been increased when there are fewer players than 4. The fewer players, the bigger the change. For 4 players missions, there will be no change compared to before. The biggest noticeable change will be for solo players at higher difficulties. And this is a big deal for us because, like you guys know, we play as a duo. We never play with a full team unless there is bots. We don't play with anything else. It's kind of backwards. A lot of games, the less players there are, it kind of downscale to how many players in the lobby. We like that because in that way it doesn't get unbearable, especially with armor or big stuff attacking us. But this game is not like that. And now they're kind of punishing you for playing by yourself or not playing with a full team.
I think the reason they made this change, which is really weird, they could do it more like Darktide. Darktide you can't, well you can if you mod and stuff, but you can't play a match unless you have at least one other person on your team. And it says the most noticeable changes will be for solo players. So this is a team game. They want you to play as a full team of 4, but they allow you to solo. So that's such a weird thing to punish you for being solo, even though they allow it in the game, because they want to force you into a team of 4. Well, then they should just make it that way. Just make it to where you have to play as 4. They don't like solo players. They don't like solo players, obviously. They don't, because they're punishing them. For us, it wasn't noticeable. Some missions were more normal and it wasn't that bad. Other missions we did, I mean, egg can be kind of bad anyways. The hatcheries can be kind of tough anyways, but there were some that we had, I don't know if we have any gameplay for it. We have some probably, but where it was just like we were doing something and the bug breach happened, and then there was like a bunch of patrols that just kept coming after us. So that bug breach took forever because not of the breach, but because of the patrols that were just in the area. It was horrible. But then, like I said, other times it was really easy. So it's inconsistent, and it's just a weird way to punish your solo players instead of just making them queue up and not having solo in the game.
Extraction request confirmed. Shuttle inbound.
Going down the line. Going down the pulling in reinforcements.
Ready to liberate.
ETA T-minus 2 minutes 30 seconds.
Like to chase. Oh, burrito.
This is Pelican 1. I have visual on the extraction zone. Pelican 1 landing sequence initiated. Watch where you're standing.
Have a taste of the
Pelican 1 preparing to depart. Shuttle launch in 20 seconds.
I do like to taste the burrito.
Launch countdown complete. We have to leave now. Extraction complete.
To finish up the video, we wanted to just talk about how awkward and weird this patch felt. We didn't cover every single weapon. Like for example, I don't use a crossbow or other weapons that were in this patch, so it didn't really affect me. But I know a lot of people are not happy about this patch. It feels like they are trying to make the weapons weaker in comparison with the enemies. And yeah, everybody likes a good challenge, but at the end of the day, that is not fun.
I wouldn't necessarily say we don't know why they did it. I think we know why they did it. A similar reason as to why the Railgun got nerfed. I wouldn't say the Quasar Cannon was like as good as the Railgun, but it was really good. I think it can see probably what weapons are being used and what stratagems are being used, and so they probably want to balance those out. So they don't want you to just use the Quasar Cannon now, so they gave the Railgun a slight buff, and hopefully people will go back to that a little bit and spread out. What they really want, I think they want you to use all the guns in the game. So they're trying to balance it that way. I just think sometimes they do a really shitty job of it. Like the Adjudicator, I did see some people saying, that gun's good, that gun's good. Go ahead, your opinion, fine. That gun's shit. That gun's shit, it's still shit, you know, whatever. But that thing got a lot of buffs, but they were like really minor buffs in my opinion. It just, I don't know. I think that's what they're trying to do though. They want to make players play a certain way with certain weapons, so that's why they're trying to do all these balancing acts and whatnot. The ones that just don't make sense to me are the enemies, the patrols for less players. You'd think it'd go the other way around, not the way they did it. And then like the armor, yeah, it's nice, not getting headshot is easy, but I just don't see it being better than the light armor. I still feel like most players are going to use light armor. Just because if you use the heavy, you just get left behind. You know, if the rest of your team's using light, you just get left behind. So yeah, and then obviously the Punisher Plasma was just really bad because it's got that bug with the shield backpack, but just kind of weird. I mean, the sickle, we didn't talk about it, but it did get a nerf. The amount of coils it has is 3 now instead of 6, but as long as you're careful, that is an infinite ammo gun. So like stuff like that, probably not that big a deal. I don't really use it that much, but I can see it, you know, I can see people being upset, but I don't think it's a big deal. But that's why I think they did it. They just want to make the players use other things and play the game the way they want you to play it. I don't agree with it necessarily, but I think that's why.
And I think that is the issue for me. I'm a casual player. I don't have 24 hours and 7 days a week to play this game and get better. I think I'm pretty good for the amount of time I have in the game, but people just use what they're comfortable with. If their aim is not amazing, they use specific weapons. If their aim is better, they use other specific weapons. I like using specific stratagems. I like using my backpack because I take damage. By doing all these changes, great, especially if something is overpowered, fine. But the only thing they are getting in return is people angry because they are making us play in the way the devs want us to play, and players are going to always find ways that they are more comfortable playing. I'm going to make builds that are good for themselves. So by doing all these changes, I think the only thing they are doing is just hurting themselves. And that is all for the video today, guys. If you have any other opinions, other stuff you like using, and it doesn't work as good anymore, let us know in the comments and what you think about the thing.
Ready to liberate. Engaging terminal.
Squad lost. Deploying replacement squad.
We are going to be checking some of the stuff that actually affect us the most. You're gonna be seeing some gameplay as well, and I don't know. They're going to talk about it.
Oh my god, that was fucking terrible. Holy
Thank
shit.
you, because I don't do
Oh,
this
you're
anymore.
so.
Remember?
Hi guys, welcome back.
Shut up. Hi guys.
Hi guys.
No, seriously.